Yeah, so we are back, and in today's episode, we decided to expand the subjects we're talking about. You're still the mastering show and stuff like that, but what we're gonna do today, we're gonna start off talking a little bit more to entrepreneurs, wannabe entrepreneurs, basically people that has some ambition and aspire to do something more. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk about trends, real-time trends, what's happening right now today. We're going to talk about, still going to keep going with the good business cases, the people, but we're also going to include some businesses that we admire, that we see they've done something special. And we're going to start maybe bringing in some questions from listeners because I already have a few. We're going to build a little bank there before we start using them. And maybe we'll include some experts if we see that's needed. You know, if we need someone to talk about negotiation or how to read people and we don't feel qualified, we might bring someone in. So, Sonny, good seeing you again. How are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
No, things are good. I set up a new coaching program, which is nice.
Nice.
And I'm doing some seminars now at the same
Excellent.
time. So yeah, it's all kind of fits into the same mold. We're doing the same things. What I want to bring up today is that I've been looking around, and all over TikTok, Instagram, and everywhere there is this trend called the 996 trend. Now, just for short, to make sure that everyone is on board, 996 refers to working 9 to 9, 6 days a week. Yeah. What's your take on that, Sonny? Is that a prerequisite to be rich and successful, or is it? Yeah.
It sounds very tiring. Let me just say that at the outset. 996. So it's 9 to 9. So you're talking at 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, effectively, right? So you take one day off. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work. And I think all these pundits, all these successful people have been out there and done their special things in the world. They'll tell you, you've got to hustle. You've got to do it. You've got to give it everything you've got. Yeah, I think you do have to hustle to an extent. It's just that word hustle, I think it gets used a little bit too much in this whole world. It kind of screams hustle to me, 996. So I have some concerns about it. I think, how do we approach this in a little bit more of a smarter manner, as opposed to just going in there like a Mack truck and just going all the way through, smashing through every possible barrier, shaking off every resistance that comes off and just going through it? Because let's be honest, it gets hard. Shit gets really hard, and it involves a lot of muscles, a lot of understanding, self-awareness of yourself, going to the left as opposed to going to the right, decision making. So there's a lot to it. So when people talk about 996, it does scare the living bejesus out of me. I think there is a better way to approach an aspirational goal of getting into business.
I'd say off the bat, we've been exploring a couple of things before in this show on the necessity of, actually having passion, talent, all these things that we uncover from these really successful people. And yet this kind of reminds me, this is a little flashback for me back to the 80s.
Good old 80s.
Because the 80s had this all over the place. If you wanted to be a successful lawyer, if you ever saw Wall Street or read all the Michael Crichton books and stuff like that, it was always about the Southern lawyers, and they were expected to work 80 hours a week, 80 billable hours. And you see Wall Street is the same, get up in the morning and make the phone calls. And it's hard to argue that you won't get results with an attitude like that, because obviously if you picked up the phone today and started selling cell phones and you are calling nonstop 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, well, you're going to sell cell phones. There's no doubt about it. But is it the most effective way to get there? On that, I'm not sold on the idea.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I think there's this quote, and I'm going to butcher it if I try and remember verbatim. But if you want to chop down a tree, it's not just a matter of getting an axe and chopping it. One of the first things you need to do is sharpen your axe. So
Yeah.
refine your axe, make it sharper. So every incision that you make cuts through. So you're going to get more cut through. And if that translates through the business world, if you do your homework first, really understand the market, as you're saying, understand yourself, understand your customer, what the pain points really are. This pre-work, which would have been done in advance, will serve you significantly later on. It'll cut down time that you would have spent just banging your head against the wall. So I guess it's about being really prepared before you actually get into the arena.
Now the disciples of this theory, they will obviously argue, but if you do all those things and you then go to work 996, it's going to be a massive fucking result. But here's the thing. I used to work as a personal trainer in college. So when I did my degrees, I was helping people working out. Now, and do you know, just to clarify, do you know how many marathons a marathon runner runs each year?
I'm going to guess, this is a pure guess.
Mhm.
I'd say 20. It's a
Yeah,
random
it's
guess.
somewhere between 2 and 5.
Okay, all right. It's a lot less than that.
Yeah, 2 to 5, and this is obviously if you're a professional, and I'm going to use that as a relevant example because obviously, if you're going to work 996, it's to become a professional. Yeah, so it is wrong. The thing is that what you're going to learn is that if you want to be successful in sports in general, there's 3 factors you're going to have to be really good at. You're going to be really good at the training in itself, obviously. Then you have the eating, the nutrition, and then you have the restitution. And I promise you, if you remove one of them, you're going to fail spectacularly. There is absolutely no. If a marathon runner believed in his heart that he could run a marathon every day and become a better marathon runner by running a marathon every day, they would do it. There's no doubt about that. They do it. It's the same with all the footballers or anyone. There's a limitation for on the time frame where you are effective at what you are doing. And the thing is that if you overstep that, not only do you not really have any effect on the work you do above, but you reduces the quality of the work you're going to do the next day massively. So yeah, if you work 996, the first 6 hours in the first day, they're going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Then the next 3 hours, they're going to be less beautiful. And the next day will be even less beautiful. And then you'll just, pull it down. And then you're going to have the Sunday off and rest. And you're going to have 6 magical hours. The thing about all these theories is you need to find a sweet spot. You need to figure out how effective can I be for how many hours, and then you can work in your condition or stamina on top of that.
But
And
how does one
yeah,
actually figure out? Because everyone's kind of different, right? Everyone has their own thresholds and their own, I guess, concentration points and parameters around when they're active and when their mind is not active. How does one figure out, okay, I've gone past the point of it being a useful investment of time?
to be quite honest, I think you feel it. Like it's like your body is this quite amazing amazing tool. It tells you when it's hungry. It tells you when it's tired and thirsty. It will also tell you when it's done. And it's okay. You should listen because when it tells you you're done, it needs to eat. It needs to restitute. It needs to, bring back the energy. And also, but obviously, as with anything, you can develop stamina. You can learn tips and tricks. How do you do it? How do you? And then this is why you read the books on how to become more efficient.
Yeah.
I think that's a smarter play. Be more efficient with your time, and we're going to talk a lot about stuff like this because we're going to talk a lot about decision making in the future. And the decisions you make. I'm sorry, you
Oh,
go.
no. You're right. Decision making is massive. I think making good quality decisions. I think I have a 20-year-old boy, and whenever he goes out, one of the things I often say to him is make good decisions.
Mm.
Because you're in a very uncertain world where you've got very uncertain people who you have no idea what's going on, but you want to make good decisions based upon good fundamentals. And I think we are, as people, we're really not taught to make good decisions. Do we make it with our head, our gut, or our heart? Or, I think it's a combination of all three. But ultimately, I think decision making, if it's not a hell yeah, then it's a no. I have come to that. I guess that's how I think I roll with decision making. If it's not a hell yeah, it's probably a no for now.
I think that's a good way to say it. There were done some research on this a couple of years ago. I don't have the quotation in my head right now, but what they found out is that you do know you have two brains, right? You have one brain in up here that everyone knows about, and then you have the one in the gut. Yeah, gut feeling. It is actually a thing, and it's what it has shown is that based on your previous experience and what you do and your competence and who you are, from the standpoint what is right for me, my gut will be 80% right every time. 8 out of 10 times it will literally tell me from the start what is right for me, and listen to it. And here's the thing: if you start using that in a smart way, you can start, play. Just make sure your experiences are comes from good choices, good decisions, and then your gut feeling will literally be something that's gonna be a really good tool. But be efficient in what you do. There's obviously you can. If I want to, I'm in Oslo. If I want to go to Rome, I can walk, I can bicycle, I can drive a car, I can take a train, or I can take a plane. Now, obviously, what requires the least energy from me is to fly. So if that's an option, yeah, I should probably fly. I'd lose a lot of the scenery, but I have more time there to do what I'm actually going to want to do. And you want to bring that into your professional career as well. To hustle, just to hustle, no one's going to be impressed that I'm walking to Rome. I'm 2 weeks late for the meeting. I'm not going to get the contract. Who the fuck cares what kind of hustle I made because I walk?
Yeah. Yeah. So what? Yeah. So what?
Yeah. So 996, obviously, if you do have the stamina for it, it's probably a good thing. It's a little 80s. It's a little back to the 80s, back to the future.
Bit of Gordon Gecko, hustle, money never
Yeah.
sleeps, pal, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah, because a lot of people talk about this hustle. It just kind of reeks of hustle to me. 996. Just
I also I have the same as you. I have a really negative feeling toward the word hustle. If you say hustle to me and I read that in an investor presentation or something, I'm not going to buy it. I'm sorry. That's not for
what's
me.
behind that? I'm curious. What do you kind of feel that's behind that?
I saw a movie when I was a kid with Robert Redford and what was the other Paul Newman.
Yep.
It was called The Sting. The Sting was basically about doing a hustle. They were hustling a guy. To me, the word hustle is kind of just really close to what was the English word for a con, basically.
A con.
It
Yeah.
reminds me
Yep.
of con.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. A con.
So it's okay. So when you say, okay, I'm gonna hustle, and hustle. Okay, so you're gonna con people.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate you didn't. That would be nice.
And it's the opposite reason why we get into business. We don't get into business to con people. Yes, we want to make money, as much money as we possibly
Yeah.
can, and I get that absolutely. But if where there is this inherent transfer in value, I do a service for you, then you remunerate me. If it's a one-sided affair whereby I'm going to rip you off blind, then that's not cool. You are not going to succeed. You are going to get found out. You may as well just pull up stumps and stop it straight away, because it's not going to work long term.
I'm going to bring this into something we're going to talk more about later, but the customer retention, lifetime valuation, all these things, the financial sides of these things. customer retention is, it basically tells us that the research behind customer retention tells us that a customer that comes back buys a 30% on average, 30% bigger service. They will buy extra things as well. They have a 10% acquisition cost compared to a new client. So what you want to do, you want to take care of your clients, and to hustle them, I'm sorry, that's not taking care of your clients. So what you're going to do is you're going to kill off your own customer base. Obviously, you're going to keep bringing in new clients, but still, you will make a hell of a lot more on your old ones. This is one of the reasons Apple is worth so much, because all the clients keep coming back. It's not because they buy the iPhone once, you buy it 10 times. You're going to stay there for life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that comes into the 996 thing that needs exploring, the way I see it. At least to help people be good at something first, and have an idea that you want to do your service for the greater good. And you buying a Ferrari is never the greater good. I'm sorry.
It's good for
It's a
Ferrari.
bonus.
It's good for
Yeah,
Ferrari.
it's good for Ferrari, it's good for you,
Yeah.
but it's never good. It's not for the greater good. And I'm saying that because there's two ways to make money, and one of them will always be found out. And I work with a lot of people that has a lot of money, and their biggest concern when they have people pitching them ideas or projects or anything is that, are we going to make money together, or do you want to make my money? See where I'm coming from? It's like they have this idea. So I want to work with this, and I go to a sponsor or to an investor and they try to pitch their idea. And it kind of turns out that what you want to do is that I have a lot of money and you want to make some of my money. And maybe we can make some money together in the end. So don't use words like hustle and stuff like that. Just don't. It flies in some spheres and environments, but in a lot of them, it's really not a word to use.
Yeah, business is about partnership, right? I mean, I think the metaphor you referred to a few moments about me making money off you. The picture, if I can set a picture, is the classic picture is your buyer sits on one side of the table and your seller sits on the other side of the table, and in between them is the table, right? It's a bit of real estate, and there's some horse trading that goes on. But ideally, the metaphoric picture I'd like to create is your buyer and your seller are sitting on the same side of the table. They're sitting next to each other and they're working together, right? Because they've got one goal, and that is take the buyer from where they are to where they wish to go. And the seller has to find out why, and of course, position them in the right possible way. But they will ultimately want to understand if the seller is the correct person that's going to take the buyer to where the buyer wants to go. Because if that is the seller is the wrong person, then that's cool. That is totally fine. It's time for you to bow out and let somebody else come in to take your spot, because that person might be the right person at the end of the day. So this is thinking long term. And if you let a prospective customer go, right, and you're all cool about it, you're honest, and you say, listen, we may not be a right fit, and that's totally cool. I know someone else who might be a good fit for you. Let me refer them to you. You'll do yourself an invaluable sense of good, because you built up trust, you built up respect, and goodwill between the two of you. You'll get some referral business backwards more than likely in the future. Despite being a long game.
No, but you're obviously true. Let's just there's so many rabbit holes.
There is.
So I'm not going to go down every one of them, but I remember reading Maslow back in when I was studying, the hierarchy of needs. And if I don't remember wrongly, I think it's number 4. It's about esteem and recognition. And for any client you ever have, the best confirmation on their perfect choice in using you would be their friends or family or colleagues doing the same. So obviously, a happy client is your best ambassador by default. And obviously, there's a lot of stuff you can do and should do to make sure they stay on board and keep remembering you. But at the end of the day, anyone that's invested anything in you ever will be will want to sell your services onwards if you allow them to.
Yeah. Like an advocate, right? Who's going to be an advertising piece, like an advocate.
I lost your sound.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Arvid, I'd like to take a bit of time to introduce our next person of notable experience in the world or notable achievement. That's Jensen Huang. So for those of you who don't know who Jensen Huang was, or is, I should say, he is the one of the co-founders of Nvidia. So a huge microchip company based in the US. He very, very similar to our last guest, who was Lisa Su. Um, he is a product of an immigrant family. He is from Taiwan, moved to the United States as a very, very young child, and did it tough. He was with his, I think, with his brother. They lived in a dormitory. Effectively, went to school by themselves, while their family was in, I think, Thailand at the time. And he effectively had just to grow himself up and work while he was studying. And he graduated early from university, like a couple of years early, and went into engineering, tech, and then, long story cut short, he's now, I think, the fifth most richest man in the world, and obviously a lot has taken place from from starting university to get to where he is today. But he's quite an achiever, this particular man. Arvid, I'm keen to kind of unpack from your perspective. What are your thoughts? What do you think is kind of behind Jensen and his psyche?
I'm agreeing with you when you compare to Lisa, which we spoke about last time, because obviously there's the engineering background again. And we can say what we want, but at the end of the day, there's not a lot. There's thousands and thousands, but there's not a lot of engineers still that ends up managing the biggest companies. And obviously, there's external factors as well at play here. Nvidia breaks all the rules because they make the best processing cards, which basically makes them an absolute must-have for anyone that dabbles with artificial intelligence. Isn't this? That's at least the way I understood the business behind it. But again, I only seen pictures and videos of him, and he just seems like a genuinely nice guy. Have you seen it?
I have.
You can't really find a picture of him not smiling.
Yeah. There's something anecdotally quite interesting I found out of him just by looking at him. He wears the same getup in almost every bit of media, whether it's he does a podcast or he does a presentation or he does something huge. He'll always wear, I think it's black pants and this black leather jacket. It's almost like his signature look. He's just, and to me, I think, okay, the couple of people did something similar to that. Barack Obama, former president of the United States, wore like two colors. I think gray and blue suits, white shirt and a blue tie. That was kind of his signature look. And the rationale behind that was the less decisions I make, the better. Because what I do in my professional world involves me making a ton of decisions. But if I have to have one outfit and I've got, I don't know, 10 versions of it at home, I don't have to make that decision in the morning what to wear, what color tie to wear, what color shirt to wear, what suit to wear. So I thought that was very cool.
Yeah. But do you think that can be part of his personal branding as well? You know, this is, you remember the old TV shows on how we perceived a professor, you know, with the bow tie. It was the classic look. Yeah. And you can see it, you know, kind of again and again. It is It's a signature statement. He's wearing a leather jacket. How many CEOs wears a leather jacket in their day-to-day business? Without the suit, without the Tom Ford suit to $7,000 or $10,000.
Yeah. Steve Jobs turtleneck, black turtleneck, same sort of thing.
The white sneakers and the way he walked. Yeah. And well, I think one of the people that talks a lot about this and that's really good at it is Professor Galloway. And his podcast, the Prof G podcast. And I think he still has a course on New York, to the university where he teaches. It's all about personal branding, and this is one of the things he talks about. But let's bring Jensen into the the assessment that we kind of try to do. If I say talent, effort, personality, interest, luck, timing, surroundings, motivation, right place at the right time, physical or mentality, or happiness or passion, which variables is the first one you can think of when you talk about Jensen?
For this one, I'm going to say none of the above, but all of them are relevant. But the one that really, really jumps out at me, which maybe wasn't ever present in the previous guests, and that was pragmatism. He's very, very pragmatic. So I'll give you an example. Jensen has he's a person who doesn't believe in having high expectations. I think he kind of associates high expectations with low resilience. So he has low expectations of people. So he doesn't expect much from people or outcomes. And it does two things. I think kind of surprises him, but it also makes him mentally ready to keep working harder and harder and harder. So he actually says to people, and it sounds very lousy and a little bit strange, but may I wish you ill luck or a little bit of a disaster to happen to you in life, because that is where you learn the art of resilience. So I think that is just one hell of a piece of pragmatic advice. It's like, we're not going to sugarcoat stuff. We're going to tell you it's hard, and you will only learn when it's hard. You won't learn anything when it's easy. You'll only learn when it's hard. So I thought that's very pragmatic, realistic, because business is hard, as we both know.
Yeah. And still, it's, if you break it down, the advice in itself is not that uncommon. It's like when actors go on stage, it's break a leg. That's literally the advice they get. So yeah, it's pragmatic. It's like, okay, and they say it's bad luck to wish them good luck. I like the way you bring in and the pragmatic. That he is a pragmatic. For me, it's several different things at the same time. Now, obviously, he is a great manager, and he has some of the capabilities that we saw in Lisa. He knows his stuff. He knows what he's doing from the engineering side of it. So there's the interest in what they're doing. And for me, the interest gives him a great opportunity to be good at understanding the market better than the competition, because it comes more natural for him. But at the same time, this is the first one I'd say that, the right place at the right time, because the things that Sam Altman and Elon Musk and all these other people and Google and Apple were working at the same, obviously he knew about it because he was already providing their processors. But still, he was there at the right time with the right technology to help these other companies, escalate their investment into artificial intelligence. And he's been part of that ride. Isn't that something that we should at least consider as part of the massive, well, he was obviously a success before, but the massive success that he's today is also about being at the right place at the right time.
It's a really interesting point. I'd love to ask you a question, because it kind of implies a little bit of luck right place, right time.
Yeah.
Do you think he was destined to do this? Because what if his parents decided to go to the UK or Canada or something like that, and the dynamics weren't in place? Is that kind of destiny, or what do you think?
I I'm not going to say destiny, but I always had this idea that the world's best footballer probably never touched a football. So if you go by talent alone and you know capabilities, I used to move around a lot when I was a kid, and what I saw was that people that I met one place and that had really difficulties growing up there, they would absolute excel in other places, and the other way around. People I met that were doing great at one place would really be at the lower end on the ladder in other places again. So obviously these things will play a major factor. I do believe luck is quite essential when it comes to success, at least to get at least to enter the right door at the right time. Um, is that we know in the professional world in the working environment, we do know that in most countries between 60 and 70% of jobs are offered in informal networks. It's like Maya in accounting is pregnant. We're gonna need a stand-in for her for the next 12 months. Does anyone know anyone?
Yeah,
Yeah, I know someone. And these computers, they don't really work anymore. Do anyone have anyone they can recommend? Do they know anyone?
yeah,
We're gonna have to fix the bathroom. Do you know anyone? We kind of go by that by default. And if you're not nowhere near the people that people know, well, you're hardly going to get any recommendation. You hardly the odds for you being in the right place at the right time is quite
yeah.
difficult. And this is what I see in this guy that goes around in the leather jacket and he smiles. He looks like a genuinely nice guy. He's a guy. Yeah, I know someone. He's one of the guys you know. You see
It's
my point? Yeah,
it's almost like insider trading, isn't it? It's almost like because
yeah.
you've got this inside knowledge, but then the more you can maybe network and make sure you're communicating with people who might know someone who might know someone who might need
Hmm.
you,
Yeah.
that's when you expand your awareness and your ability to influence other ecosystems. Going back to Jensen for a second, he's I think he said something about that if he knew that Nvidia was going to be this hard, he never would have done it. Like, obviously he's seen his ups and his downs. I'm sure his fair share of downs. But I was thinking about that comment, and I think every entrepreneur will say, or most will say, that I'm not sure they totally believe it, right? Because deep down they really love what they do. And they take the highs. They also take the inherent lows because that's part of the deal. They might say it, but deep down they're in love with what they do, and that
Yeah.
talks to what you're talking about before. You have this love and this passion, this tenacity, and this kindred spirit with what you do. It's absolute gold, and that is one of the necessary ingredients for you doing well in whatever endeavor it is.
Mm. And I completely agree with you. I to be honest, I haven't really heard any major entrepreneur. You have a couple of entrepreneurs that has success in a really young age, and they usually will never say anything negative about being an entrepreneur. But there's a lot of people that succeed in the late 40s. Did you know the average age for a successful entrepreneur is 46?
46.
46. It's not, and that's the average age.
Okay.
So it's not 25, it's not 30, it's not 32, which means that most of these people in 46, they didn't start out as entrepreneurs at 46. They started out as 22 or 23 or 24. So they spent maybe the better parts of the last 20 years uphill with little money and little to show for. And what people has to understand when you start the entrepreneurial race is that you do close a lot of doors. Because if you come out of college and you have a degree, and you start, work, doing your thing, hustling, making sure things happen. The other people that chooses to work for, I don't know, McKinsey or Deloitte or the other big businesses, well, they do develop a career, and they develop seniority and experience and everything they need to keep going in the corporate world. While you kind of close that door really fast, because if a business can hire someone with the same degree as you and 5 years of relevant experience and good results, or you, well, it's not going to be you. So what I found is that a lot of the entrepreneurs that I talk with, they are, if they known, and this is after they succeed, if they known what they had to sacrifice on the way, they wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
They would have gone the corporate way instead. And that's like 95 of 100 will say that, because you will probably sacrifice living in a nice house, vacations, partying, good meals, all these things for 20 years. And 20 years is a long time. Concerts, sports, it's just not there. It's just not a part of your life. And maybe family. That might be a thing at the same time. This was just a side rant, but what I get where he's coming from. And although, yeah, he's a massive success today. Did you see the picture of Jeff Bezos?
Which one?
And there's this famous picture when he starts Amazon and everything is going beautiful. Well, we kind of tend to forget he became really, really rich as a really grown man, arguably an old man. And how many billions do you think Jeff Bezos would give to be 30 years younger today?
Yeah, I mean,
all of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the eternal cup of youth, right? I mean, that's
yeah, but the thing is that what he's talking about is the fact that to be a successful entrepreneur, you will sacrifice a lot. That's just by default. There's always, you have the Zuckerbergs that succeed at 20 and becomes multi-billionaires, but they are far and few between, or few and far between.
You talk about sacrifice. I think you're right. There is going to be sacrifice, and you've just got to choose your own sacrifice, what you're willing to give up, whether it's you're not going to get married, you're not going to have children, or you're not going to live in a great house. You'd rather live in a small place, but concentrate all your time, effort, and resources on building your business. I guess you've got to choose your shit sandwich, right? What you choose to eat, and be comfortable with it, right? Be comfortable with the trade-off that you are effectively imposing upon yourself.
Yeah. Although I wasn't trying to bring this away from Jensen, but I like the way he talks about things. And as I said, I do believe he has a massive talent for what he does. He has a great passion for it. He obviously likes. He's the kind of person that people want to know. I know a guy, and maybe in the later parts of his career, it's not that important. But when you're starting out, when you're getting things up and running, being the guy that, if you have 25 businesses, I know a guy that can help us with these things. That's going to be massively helpful. And I also do believe that his personality has brought him into rooms where he's been able to be really successful at networking, and therefore been at the right place at the right time, because he is an integral part of anything that's happening right now in the artificial intelligence sphere. Well, there's literally nothing happening without them.
And to your point, it talks about his raw talent for what he does. He's one of those outliers who's bloody good at what he does. So you kind of alluded to this before. Who are you going to go into business? You're going to go into business with the person who has the runs on the board, who has the potential, who knows what he's doing or what she's doing. And he's the one, very similar to Lisa Su from last week. if you wanted to go into bed and jump into bed business with someone, that is the person you'd want to go to.
Yeah.
Because they effectively will take out half their competition based on their sheer competence,
Mm.
which is magic.
I also think that to me he seems like a guy kind of in the cross section between Lisa and Elon.
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
As yeah, you know, as you know, you have the personality, the attitude, the niceness, and the competence, and just the sheer. I know my shit. We're gonna go to the left. Kind of like the guy that did you see the movie Short? I think it was called about the financial crash
The
in
Big
the
Short.
early
The
2010.
Big
The Big
Short.
Short. Thank you. And you had this one guy, the one hedge fund manager. No, we're gonna short.
Yeah,
This is
Michael
bullshit.
Burry.
This is
Michael
bullshit.
Burry.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I was like, this is bullshit. They just stay in there. We'll win in the end.
But that was
And they
balls
won,
of
and
steel.
everyone else lost.
Absolute balls of
Yeah,
steel. I mean, you got to
yeah,
respect that totally.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that talks about backing yourself to the hilt.
And to do that, you need to be competent as fuck. You really need to know your shit. And that brings us back to Jensen. So somewhere in the cross section, you know, between knowing your shit and being at the right place at the right time and have the balls to go for it.
What does that do to your leadership? I mean, having the balls to go for it and have the conviction to go where you think you need to go. Tell me about what that means to leadership.
It gives you an opportunity to become a great leader or great manager. Obviously, the next thing is that now you're gonna have to be a great communicator as well.
Yeah.
Because well, obviously he knows his shit, and he knows to be I'm a nice guy. I'm in the right place at the right time, and I have passion for what I'm doing. But you're still gonna manage to bring your team on board. People's gonna have to buy into it, and it's like you can find all these great autists around the world that really knows their shit. That doesn't mean you want them flying your plane. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, yeah.
So and literally in these cases, and that was not a dig at autism. That was just trying to exemplify something. Uh, but you need to be able to sell your ideas as well to bring people on board with them. He has a board of director, he has colleagues and everything, and he had to say that, okay, I believe artificial intelligence is going to be a great thing, so we're going to do all we can to make the best processors. And here's the thing: unless artificial intelligence came along, you could use bigger processors that cost a hell of a lot less to produce, and his business idea wouldn't really fly.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me, he's just an amazing character, and it's really fun to kind of to look at it from a different point of view, just to see why he's succeeding.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't have all the answers, but we have some. I hope.
Well, I hope. But with this, just back to second on leadership, like he had the courage and the veracity to say we're going to go into this particular artificial intelligence direction. I feel it in my bones that is the way to go. His team members, and you talk about bringing your staff on the journey. Jensen is probably prepared to lose money, lose his own shirt off his back because he loves his company and he wants it to work, and he's heavily invested. But he's probably got team members who are not as heavily invested. They're invested as much as they get a paycheck every week. And I want to make sure they can pay the mortgage, pay the bills, put kids' shirts on the kids' backs. So how do you bring those people on board on a journey where they have to believe you? They've got to have faith in the leader, but they don't have any evidence. They've just got to have faith. That's an art. Hey?
Yeah, it is. I read an article about it. I don't remember the author, but well, actually, it was a book, and I remember it's Peter Senge, and he wrote a book called The Fifth Dimension.
Okay.
And this he kind of refers to all these examples of the great leaders throughout time. And what he says is that this is the short version, is that if you want your teammates to be on board with your project, you need to identify their inner motivation. basically. And what that means is that if I want to sell an idea to you that we're going to do something together, I'm going to need to figure out what motivates you on a personal level, not related to me or what we're going to do, but your inner personal motivation. Because and then when I know, and that can be, it can be a nice house, a great wedding, it can be a beautiful retirement or bear hunting in Alaska, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to need to figure out what that is, and then somehow align that with the goals we have for the company. And and he's going to have to do it for everyone in the company, because if your personal goals that, and now we can bring it into the Tony Robbins sphere as well, the pain, pleasure, all those things, but at the end of the day, he's going to have to make you feel absolute pleasure, that this journey is going to give you absolute pleasure, and not going on this journey is going to give you absolute pain. And to do that, you're going to have to be one hell of a communicator. That's some next level stuff.
Oh, it is.
But you can bring it into sports again. You have all these great managers. A great footballing manager, a great soccer manager, a great Australian football, all these great managers, the one thing they have in common is that they are capable of doing that with each of their players. However, on the other hand, each of these players are paid a couple of million a year to be there, so obviously it shouldn't be that hard. But at the end of the day, he's going to have to be able to align his vision with his team's personal needs.
Yeah.
And that's quite a feat.
I think to build upon your point, he has to get his team to believe in his vision. So the whole theory of buy-in has to take place, not on a theoretical brain perspective, but an emotional perspective. I'm emotionally bought in to Jensen's vision of taking this company forward in this particular AI direction. I believe it. I can live it. I can see it. Jensen has articulated what the vision looks like, so I can actually visualize what this looks like. I can see us already working that way. That it's already done in my head. Now we just need to do it physically. That's kind of where I see it.
How would you go about doing that?
If I was Jensen, cost of entry is really having this ethereal belief that what I'm doing is right. There's always going to be an element of doubt, but you don't want to be conveying this obviously to the people that who report to you. But articulating where the future is going, you're going to have to use a little bit of science, a little bit of data, because some people are going to be a little bit left brain thinking, so they're going to need to know some of the content, the evidence and the proof that this is where the world is going, for example, with AI. And then the right side brain, which is more of the emotive side, the imagination. I need to kind of sell both hemispheres to people. This is what our future looks like. This is what the world looks like. I paint a picture of what the living in the year 2030 would look like, and how that relates to, I don't know, microchips, and then work it back to where we are now, and try and kind of build that story, build that bridge between what utopia looks like, where the world is going, where we are right now, and how we are best positioned to serve humanity in 2030. And we are the people that's going to do it, because we've got the right people, we've got the right products, we have the right vision. So a lot of it's going to be for your voice, how you articulate yourself, how you narrate yourself, your body language, your nonverbal communication. It's everything. It's an art.
You
science.
Do realize, given the root of this podcast, you threw out at least 15 different variables in the last statement we have to dig into. From nonverbal communication, the left, right brain, all this. I'm going to have to dig deep. We are approaching the 1 hour mark for today's show. We aren't. There's still 5 minutes left. But I think that this is a good time to call it off. We're going to introduce a few new segments as we move along. Me and Sonny spoke about it just before we came on. We're going to start taking some questions from listeners, because that's always interesting. And as we move along, we're also going to start bringing on some external. I'm not going to say experts. I hate the word experts. It's up there with hustling for me because everyone can be an expert. Expert in what?
Yeah,
okay. You know what I mean. The word is used too much. It's inflation. But we're going to bring in smart people that know stuff.
A different perspective. A different perspective just makes you think differently. So I absolutely agree with that, 100%.
Now, there's a couple of psychologists I want to talk to, organizational psychologists, to explain. I'm just going to have to ask you one thing. You know Manchester United Football Club?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Manchester United Football Club are probably they've had a culture problem for some years. And there's been a lot of experts out there trying to explain why it is and how to solve it. And then a friend of mine, and he's not an expert, he's just a smart guy. And he said, Arvid, do you have a dog? Which I had to say, yeah, I have a dog. Yeah. Have you seen the people that have 15 dogs in a cage outside? And I said, yeah, I've seen those. And I said, okay, so if the leading dog in that cage with 15 dogs starts to bark every time it sees a stranger, and all the other dogs starts barking, how easy do you believe it is to remove the barking the next time a stranger comes along? I said, no, that's almost impossible. Well, that's cultural change. So cultural change is by default almost impossible. And this is dogs. You can use treats. You can literally use treats. You can give them goodies if they don't bark, and it's still going to be almost impossible. I'm sorry, that was a digression. So that's another thing we're going to have to. Any final words, Sonny, before I go into another rabbit hole?
I think culture is huge. Just on if I could just throw one or two cents in on culture. Culture is massive, and I think the team forms the culture. It's never the leadership. I think the leadership would love a great culture. They want it to look like this, but really, you're right. The culture is created by the team. It's bottom up. So that'll be a great topic for another day. Absolutely.
And on that note, Jensen is probably a great cultural builder. I'm going to assume that. So anyone, if you have any questions, anything you want us to elaborate or discuss or fail spectacular at, please let us know. and have a great day. Sonny, you'll stay along for a couple of seconds just to make sure that everything uploads right. Thank you everyone for listening or watching, and see you soon.